Hey guys, Rich here. I've got another quote that I want to talk about. In this quote, it's kind of like it covers that thing that I always talk about, and one of the many things I often talk about. And that is about your resources. Now, this is a quote from, again, Casey Neistat on that Tim Ferriss podcast. Check it out; it's an amazing show. He talks about the camera gear he used and things like that, and the quote was this: "It's never the resources that determine your success; it's how you use what you have." And I absolutely love that message, because as composers, I know I fall prey to this. We're often prey to that, oh, we don't have the best sample library thing, or oh, I don't have that plugin, or I don't have that outboard gear. We're often determining our success by just focusing on the lack of equipment that we have, or the lack of resources. But actually, we have incredible resources at our disposal, incredible free resources, incredible stuff within our workstations, incredible things. I mean, even the microphones that you get on these guys these days, that's my phone by the way, are an absolutely amazing. Podcasts, these Zoom mics, they're just amazing, and I'm very blessed to say that I have quite a lot of equipment, or at least software stuff. But it's really interesting, because when you focus on the resources you have, you begin to become more creative. You begin to think about taking those resources and then pushing them to their limits. And actually, you often get to know your resources better. The amount of sample libraries and soft synths I have that I literally have just barely touched. I've used them once, which is great. If I use them, then I'm pleased, but I haven't dived deep into them like I have some of my other stuff. And that's really important. And one quick and easy tool that you can take from that fantastic quote is, perhaps when you start your next session, set up your template first, but keep your template minimal. You only use a few instruments, only use the bare minimum of what you can, and then see what you can take from there. So if you've only loaded up, say, drums, bass, keyboard, and piano, maybe you think, well, if I when I say keyboard, I mean like pads. Like a synth, but limited to pads. Maybe if you wanted to create like a string sound, how could I create that with my pads? How can I create that with my piano? And you start to think creatively about the instruments you have, and then by doing so, you get this cohesion of sound. And that's a really fantastic way to get your projects, whole albums, sounding cohesive without having to think about it too much. It keeps your limitations there, because you're focusing on the resources that you actually have, and that's hugely important. So your tip here is create a bare minimum template that you can use to create enough of the sounds you want. Not all of them, but enough of the sounds you want, and then perhaps write an album using just that template. So one of my first albums was a ukulele album. I used my ukulele, which is, oh, you can't see it actually, it's just there. I used my ukulele, I used my recorder, whistling, clapping, and a few instruments from Logic's EXS, like a tuba and a kalimba. And that was it. And because I had that limitation, I focused on the songwriting. I focused on the process of shaping the cadences, shaping the progression, shaping the melodies, and just had a lot of fun, because I didn't have to think about the sounds I needed too much. Check it out, try it. It's such a simple tool, but it's really effective at getting you to start create your own unique sound.